All right, what's up, everybody? So before we get into tonight's content, what I want to know from you all, for those of you that were on it, how many of you found value on the training with David Wood and Susan Sly over the weekend? Type in the chat box. What was one of your big takeaways? What did you learn? What was something huge for you where you were like, oh my God? What did you love about it? Okay, getting to the why. Keep going back to your why. Yep.
Normal microphone staan niet uit.
Well, the why of your team, that's a big one for sure. Absolutely. Okay, cool. And for those of you that didn't watch it, I would imagine that there's a recording of it. So just get with your partners on how to see it. So what I want to do with you all tonight is I want to answer your questions about, you got to cry with Susan's story. Yeah, Susan's story is incredible, right? No excuses. One of the things I love about Susan, I was actually texting with Susan this morning. Oh, sorry. I got that. There we go. Okay, there we go. Should be now. I was texting with Susan this morning. One of the things I love most about Susan, and those of you that were on the training, you would have heard this. Those of you who weren't, I'll just share it with you. When Susan started, she lived in a very small home, very, very small home. And she turned the closet into her office. So imagine just having this little space, and she had a phone book and business cards, no social media, anything like that, and just started picking up the phone and dialing. And now Susan has earned millions and millions of dollars. She's a world-class trainer in the industry, highly respected. So if you didn't have a chance to watch that training, I'd recommend going back and watching it. What I'd love to do tonight with you all, especially because there's a lot of new people that have joined the team, I know that at times the compensation plan can be a little bit confusing for people. And I know that sometimes there are questions about the compensation plan. And so what I really want to do this evening is just have an open conversation with you to get your questions answered about the compensation plan. And it can be any questions you have. It can be a very simple question. It can be a more advanced question. No question's a bad question at all. And for those of you that have people on your team maybe that have asked you questions that you haven't been entirely sure about, feel free to ask those questions in the chat box. So what we'll do is we'll use the full 30 minutes like we normally do, or if there's less questions, we'll end this early. But this call tonight is really about getting your questions answered when it comes to the compensation plan. Because here's what I know for sure. When you really understand the comp plan, and some of you that really do understand it, I think you'll validate this. When you do, okay, great question, Carmen. So when you do understand the compensation plan, when you really, really get the genius of this plan, I promise you that if you really understand it, one, you'll recognize it as the most brilliant thing you've ever seen in your life in terms of a moral form of compensation, meaning that what you put into it is what you'll get out of it. Two, the genius of how collaborative it is in terms of people wanting to work together and really creating a win-win environment. And three, it might just kick your butt into more consistent action. Because when you really get this thing, and that's what got me into Isagenix, was the comp plan. See, for those of you that don't know all of Eden and my story, maybe you don't know any of it, I've been a customer of Isagenix for almost a year. And Eden started building the business without me. She built for about 2 months on her own. And she made really good money. She made, in her first 2 months, she made the equivalent of, let's say, maybe 2,000 euros, 2,000 pounds, give or take, right? All by herself, none of my help, right? All while working 10, 11, 12 hours a day at her job that was very demanding. So just finding little pockets. And she came home one night and enrolled me into working with her. But one of the things she had me do was had me watch a video by Lynn Hagedorn so I could really understand the comp plan, because the reality is the only time I'd ever seen the Isagenix compensation plan, this is a fun part of my story that many of you probably don't know, is I'd actually flown to corporate. I was flown to corporate by Kathy Coover, and Kathy Coover herself drew the comp plan for me. And you know what I did? I rolled my eyes. Not that exciting. I did. I rolled my eyes. Not that exciting. I didn't really get it. And the reason I didn't really get it is I didn't want to get it. I wasn't really open at the time. I was really there, quite frankly, because Kathy Coover invited me to come to corporate and to meet with her, and I said yes out of respect. That was the only reason I went. That and a couple of other things. But I said, nah, but because I didn't really get it. But when Eden showed me this video by Lynn Hagedorn, and I really studied it, I really was like, oh, wow. George, no, can you go out, please? Come on. I'll play with you in a moment. Just go out. Thank you, buddy. So what I want to do is, yeah, for sure, don't feel alone. Yeah. So what I want to do is I want to answer questions that you have. So Carmen asks, how do I construct an executive team? So Carmen, just so I understand the question, does that mean, how do you get to executive? What does executive mean in the compensation plan? When you hear us talk about go executive, what it looks like, is that what you're asking? Just so I make sure I understand. So just give me a yes, if that's what you mean. Okay, I'm gonna assume that's what Carmen meant. Maybe she got kicked off. Okay, cool. So here's what executive looks like. So first I'll put it in language, and then I'll draw it for you. So executive means that you have five associates on your left leg that have 2 customers, and 5 associates on your right leg that have 2 customers. So 5 consultants on your left and 5 consultants on your right. But before we understand what that means, we have to define, of course, what is a consultant? So here's you, okay? Here's you. And a consultant, you go consultant when you have 1 person on your left and 1 person on your right who've each ordered a minimum of 100 BV. This makes you a consultant. Okay, this makes you a consultant. Now, each one of these people, should they decide to share, so this person shares with 2 people, 1 on their left, 1 on their right, 1 on their left, 1 on their right. You're now a manager, right? Okay. So far, you've personally helped 2 people get started. They've helped 2 people get started. You're now a manager. Okay. Let me just draw this line. So we have left leg, right leg. Okay. Then you go out and again, get someone started here. And they help 2 people get started. Someone here. And they help 2 people get started. We do it again. Here. And here. So now you're a director. So a director is when you have 6 personally enrolled consultants. 6 personally enrolled consultants. So now you're a director, okay? And again, the people that you personally sponsor are in purple. To go executive, and I'll come back to all these questions. So thank you guys for asking these questions as you go, and it's great because I'll just be able to work off of this tree. To go executive, we're gonna do this 2 more times. So we're gonna help 1 person on our left over here, grab there 2. Over here, grab there 2. And we'll do it 1 more time. Okay, so now what do we have? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on the left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on the left who each have enrolled 2 customers. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on the right who've each enrolled 2 customers. And now you're an executive. Now, the reason that getting to executive is very, very powerful is not only are you earning those upfront bonuses along the way, but also because the executive lifestyle bonus The executive lifestyle bonus guarantees you, as long as you stay paid as executive and meet the minimums, guarantees you $750 US every single month, or the equivalent of 14 extra cycles. So it's huge. It's huge. Okay. So just to confirm, Carmen, does this help answer your question about how to go executive? Right? Again, 5 on the left, personally enrolled by you is the purple. Each of them have helped 2 people in the black. And now you're an exec. Okay, so 5 on the left with 2, 5 on the right with 2. And then just let me know if you have more questions about that. Now your next question, Carmen, is where do I place the customers? Okay, so for the purposes of placement, I actually want to direct you all to a video tool that you can find in the Europe group or also the Netherlands Belgium group. There's a video by Eden. It's very brief. It's called, just search placement strategy. And we do something that we recommend called the 3x3 technique in most instances. And the reason I want to refer you to the video is because Eden does a brilliant job of explaining why we recommend placement when it comes to those strategies. Okay. When only one of the legs understands the system, what happens then? I'm not entirely sure I understand the question, Sandra. I'm not entirely sure I understand that. So maybe you can help me understand it in a different way and I'll come back to it. Does a director gain shares? So if by shares in the leadership pools, is that what you're asking, Jordan? You just give me a thumbs up because I can see on screen. Yep, cool. So yes, so in the directors, there's manager pools and director pools. Now the manager pool caps out at $1,000 a month and the director pool caps out at $4,000 a month. So once you hit director, based on your cycle growth or based on the leader in action formula, it changed. Based on the leader in action formula, you have the ability to earn shares as a director and max out that pool at $4,000 a month. And I believe that either Michelle or Emma did a training, which you should be able to find in the group, on how the leadership pools work more specifically. And I could be wrong about that. And if we have one, then great. If not, we'll work on getting one up. Thank you for that, Phil. I appreciate that. Okay. Cool. Okay, great. Thanks for that. All right, cool. So what are some other questions I can answer for you? Again, no bad questions. Okay. Sure, Phil, go ahead. Go ahead, man. Okay, so both the people you put on your right leg are active and understand the system, but then it stops. So then, yeah, you just keep going. Absolutely. You just keep going, right? So here's the real key to network marketing success. You teach a lot of people how to do just a little bit, find a couple people who do a lot. The reality of the numbers is that roughly 85% of the people that you bring in are going to be customers only, okay? Customers only. Roughly 85% are going to be customers only, 15% are going to share, okay? Okay, so it looks like this is going to become an open Q&A instead of comp plan Q&A. That's fine. I'm happy to answer any questions you guys have, okay? So most people are going to be customers only. And the real key, though, is teaching everybody that comes in, bringing them in through the system, right? Focusing on duplication. We have lots of training on duplication and making sure they understand what's available, but understanding that most people are just going to use the products, okay? So when I look at this and I say, okay, well, if I want 10 people who just enroll 2, then I got to work the numbers. Okay? I don't think it's disappointing at all, Sandra. I think it's actually really exciting because what you have to remember, here's the beautiful thing about our compensation plan, is it doesn't matter where someone comes into your organization. Once they come into your organization, all the volume flows up. So let's say you sponsor this person right here, okay? Let's say you sponsor Joe, right? And Joe just enrolls 2 people, but that's all they really want to do. They don't want to do anything else. But this person that they sponsor gets very excited. And this person starts sharing with a bunch of people, okay? And they have people coming down here too, okay? Well, you helped Joe get started. You didn't help any of these people get started, but all that volume still goes up to you. So it's not sad at all. It's actually very, very cool. It's actually very brilliant because, like I said, a lot of people aren't going to do very much, but it doesn't matter who comes in and when they raise their hands. So Sandra, to give you an idea of how real this is, not a single person that's on this call right now that I can see, that I'm aware of, that maybe one, I don't think there's, I don't know, that we've personally sponsored. So in fact, most of Europe, right, we sponsored one woman. This is a perfect example. We sponsored, kind of, Michelle, but we sponsored one woman to open the UK alongside of Michelle and Emma, but that woman is gone. She quit the business. She's gone. But Michelle and Emma obviously worked really, really hard, and that led to a lot of growth in the UK and a lot of growth in Netherlands and Belgium, right, including you. And so here we are, and boom, it's all the same. It's all the same. So it's not sad at all. It's actually very, very exciting and very, very enthusiastic, very, very encouraging. Because there are a lot of compensation plans out there where it just stops and that's it. So one of the brilliant things about our business model here is that it doesn't matter who comes in or who brings them in. If they're in your organization, all that volume counts for your long-term residual income. Okay. All right, so let me see if there's other comp plan questions, and then we'll knock out some of these other questions, Phil, including bringing you off mute. That's right, Ella, thank you for that. Okay, I'm just seeing if there's any other comp plan questions. Okay, cool. Correct, Sandra. I did earn money on your order. That's correct. I did, and so did everybody else above in the tree. Just like you'll earn money on the orders of everybody below you in the tree. It's a collaborative form. It's a very moral form of compensation. It's very cool. Okay. All right, so let me bring Phil out because he was first to, actually, Phil, hold on one second, because some of these I can just knock out real quickly. Okay, so the overhead that you have to cover when starting out, nothing more than your own product order gets you started. And then a minimum order of 100 BV every single month, which works out to, I think, probably about 140 pounds if you're in the UK. But remembering that you're really just ordering groceries from yourself. So essentially you're eating your overhead. So that's all it takes to maintain. That's it. So every time you shop from your own grocery store, you're in a position to earn. And when you look at business, like ROI, if I look at how much money I make, and we make, and we're blessed to make working our butts off, right? If I look at how much money we make, and all we have to spend is basically $300 a month between two different positions, my position, my wife's position. I mean, it's kind of hard to find another business model that gives you that kind of, ROI. All right, let's see. All right, Phil, let me see if I can unmute you, dude. Where'd you go? All right, buddy.
Hey, Zach, thank you. Right, good evening. So I can appreciate this isn't a question about compensation, but I can think of no better person to ask this question. And also, I'm going to be calling myself out. And hopefully this is relatable to some other people who have been in with Isagenix and Team Easy for a while. So my attitude lately to sales is pretty shitty. People will, people ask about Isagenix and even people who are struggling now. I've gone from the caring person who help and coach them along to I'm like, look, do you want excuses or do you want results? I've not got time. And I know my attitude stinks. And my sales are showing for it because I hardly get any, but I'm also like, yeah, cool. I don't want to do any sales anyway, so, and I know I can't go on. That's not, that's not like a way to build a successful business. So I'm sort of like self-sabotaging. Well, I am self-sabotaging. So how do I find that? And I didn't clearly watch David Wood the other day, so probably he could answer that question. But how do I find that passion back just to help people, which I always used to do so well?
So, hang on one second. Are there any more comp plan questions? If not, hang on. How many of you, just so Phil knows he's not alone, how many of you can relate? How many of you can relate to getting excited and then getting frustrated and feeling stuck and feeling like people are annoying and why aren't people getting started and this, that and the other, okay? How many of you guys can relate? Of course, right? Totally normal. Phil, you still unmuted, right? Phil, you still there? I'll unmute you.
I remuted myself just to, thank
Phil.
you.
Only Phil. Nobody else. Phil, describe what you see.
Yeah, me all alone.
What else do you see? What's this?
A black dot.
You see a black dot, right?
Yeah.
Describe the black dot.
Frustrated, angry, not putting good things out to the rest of that whiteboard.
Yeah. So Phil, when you look at the entirety of the whiteboard, okay, what percentage of the whiteboard would you say the black dot takes up?
0.5, maybe.
Okay. Do you have a choice to focus on the black dot or to focus on the white space?
So I've been totally focusing on the black dot.
Okay.
But yeah, you're right.
What's available to you in the white space?
A lot more opportunity.
How many of you can also relate to Phil that sometimes you find yourselves just focusing on the black dot, the customer orders, sometimes there are payment processing issues. I get it. Technology can be annoying. Sometimes your customer doesn't get the right order. Sometimes people return. Sometimes people say no. Sometimes people get great results and then they quit. Some people say, I want to do the business, and then they disappear. And all you're focused on is black dot, black dot, black dot. And when you're focused on the black dot, what are we missing out on? All the white space. And you want to know the big difference between the 99% of people who suffer in life and the 1% of people who thrive at all times in life? Is us and the 1%, the 1%ers. We only focus out here. We understand that this is always going to be there. There's always going to be something. There's always going to be something you can complain about. There's always going to be something that feels negative. There's always going to be something that feels frustrating or angry or resentful. That's always going to exist. Why? Because that's just life. That's the nature of life. There's pros and cons. There's light and dark. There's good. There's evil. But the thing that separates high achievers is we accept the reality that this is always going to be here. So instead of focusing on this at all times, what we're focusing on is great. What else is possible? What else is possible? Does that help, mate?
Yeah, absolutely. And I hope it's helped some other people too. And it just wasn't just a selfish question from myself.
No, it looks like a lot of people in the chat box are agreeing, so they get it also. You know? And here's what I would say to all of you. It's been an exhausting year, hasn't it? It's been a crazy year. It's been nuts. Some of you are homeschooling for the first time. Some of you that are homeschooling are regretting having children because of this, right? Like, you're like, what is happening in my world? And you're trying to take care of the kids and clean the house and run a business. And all the meanwhile, you're dealing with, customers that are annoying or team members that drop off, this, that, and the other, blah, 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 blah. And it can be really exhausting. It can be really tiring. I really get it. But as we go into the final quarter of the year, if this is all you're focused on, guess what's going to happen heading into 2021? You think this year was exhausting? You think you're frustrated now? Guess what happens the more you focus on the black dot? What do you think happens to it? It gets a lot bigger. It gets a lot bigger. Negativity abhors a vacuum. What does that mean? It means if you focus on negativity, I promise you the negativity will fill that space. I guarantee it. And here's the thing. Negative thinking moves 100 times faster than positive thinking. 100 times faster. That's why you've got to be disciplined. So that when you see yourself getting into that space, you got to figure out a way, how can I change my state? Who's someone I can go pour into right now? Who can I provide value to? Why did I get started in the first place? What's a solution to the problems I'm complaining about? How can I be an active participant in changing the current environment? I don't feel well right now. Great. How do I want to feel right now? What can I do in the moment to change that feeling? We're never victims of the black dot. Just make it just be very clear on that. Be very clear. You're not a victim of this. You create this. Some of you didn't want to hear me say that, but that's reality. You're not a victim of this. You create this black dot based on your perception. There are people right now that are looking at 2020 as the best year of their lives because of the opportunity it's presented. There are other people right now that are blaming 2020 for everything and everything that's transpired. There are people that by the end of 2021 in this industry, in this business, that'll be multiple six-figure earners. Why? Because they focus on the white space. They focus on what we talk about on the Pivot on Purpose webinars, the ability to serve people, to be in the wellness space, to provide quality products, to earn money from home. And yes, there's going to be challenges. The black dot is always going to exist, but the degree to which the black dot exists and the size of the black dot in your world is determined by you. 2020 just is, guys. Right now where I live, my state is on fire, literally, physically, burning, fires everywhere. Our country, if you're following what's going on in the United States, it's wild. It's bananas what's happening here, right? It's crazy. And so many people I talk to, that's all they talk about. It's all they talk about. It's all they talk about. I'm not talking about it. I'm paying attention, but I'm not talking about it. Why? Because it's just what is. It's just happening. There's fires. Okay. There's a bad economy. Okay. There's shipping problems. Okay. There's payment processing problems. Okay. How do I want to handle it? How do I want to handle it? What do I want my attitude to be? And your attitude, as they say, your attitude will determine your altitude. So just stop and ask yourself the question. I saw Michelle posted in the group earlier, said, I used to hate this diagram. And now I want you all, when your teammates come complaining to you, if you guys are on this training, hold each other accountable. If they complain, what are you focused on right now? Black dot or white space? Sometimes, Michelle will tell you this, sometimes Michelle will come into my chat box and she'll start, blah, 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 and I'll just write back, black dot. Right? Black dot. Just ask yourself, where am I focused? Black dot or white space? And 99% of the population live inside this black dot. They moan, they complain, they cry, they yell, they scream, they fight to be right. Only 1% of the population is wildly successful. Why? It's not their work ethic. People in this black dot are working their asses off. But they're working at misery, not at creation. This white space is a blank canvas. Isogenics is like a part of that canvas. The system, the tools, these trainings, it's like the paintbrush and the paint. You pick, you color it, you choose. The world's not going to stop because you're complaining about the black dot. When I was living on my mom's couch and I was suicidal, my mom said, I love you, honey, but the world doesn't care. The world doesn't care. Your problems aren't special. And some of you don't want to hear that either. Your problems aren't special. I love you. Your problems aren't special. Your problems aren't more important than anybody else's. We all have them. We've all got stuff. All of us. How do you want to handle it? Black dot or white space? Black dot or white space? One of my favorite sayings. Some of you guys, those who've been around for a couple of years, you've heard me say this before. One of my favorite sayings. So what? Now what? Oh, my customers return it. So what? Now what? What are you going to do? Oh, they went to another company. So what? Now what? Oh, this team, they said they were going to do this thing, blah, 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 nobody came. So what? Now what? And I don't know if it was Tibby or another that asked that question about, well, what do you, when people don't want to do the business, so what? Now what? What are you going to do? Where are you focused? Where are you focused? And if all you're ever focused on is this, man, life sucks. And how do I know about the black dot? How do I know this black dot? How do I know it so well? How do I know this black dot? Because I've been there. I've been in the black dot. There were times this season, a couple months ago, I was in the black dot a little bit, and Eden was like, whoa. And I was like, whoa, you're right. You're right. That's old stuff. It's old stuff. But the difference is when you learn to switch your mind to focusing on the white space, you don't stay here as long. What happens when you give oxygen to a fire? What happens when you give oxygen to a fire? It spreads, it grows. Stop giving oxygen to this fire. Because what happens is when you're willing to think big and think outside and focus on solutions as opposed to problems, the black dot never goes away, but it certainly gets smaller. So I might get in the black dot, but you think I'm hanging out here for a long time? Of course not. Maybe an hour or two at the most. Because what else is possible? What else is possible? So we're already 3 minutes over. But Phil, what I love about that you asked this question is, you guys know me, the business model is amazing, but without the mindset, business model doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. I don't care how hard you work. You will never outwork the size of your ego. Never. You'll never outwork the size of your ego. Hate to break it to you. And if you're like, you've never seen me work, guess what? I love you. That's your ego. That's your ego. So what now what? So what now what? So to answer the question, how do you look for business partners? My strong recommendation, if you have not done so already, go through the executive launch process on the training site. Go through the executive launch process. First thing is identifying the types of people you want to be in business with. Identify the character traits, and then seek out those people and those people only. Okay, we're 4 minutes over. It's getting late in the evening. Thank you for your questions. If there are more questions about the comp plan or about whatever we covered this evening, in the What Did You Learn post that I'm going to put in both the Europe group and the Netherlands-Belgium group, just feel free to ask questions. But anyway, hope this training served you. Hope you found value in it, guys. Look, I know, I'll say this one more time. I know that this year has been challenging for everybody. I get it. I get it. It's been challenging for everybody. But here's what I can promise you. And here's what I want you to hear me say loud and clear, because I know that you guys are tired. I get it. Look, this team grew like crazy. Crazy. What, April hit, March hit, you guys went nuts. So much sprinting, so much intensity, so many people coming in. And now there's a little bit of fatigue coming off of that. That's normal, right? If you sprint in the gym, if you run outside, you got to catch your breath a little bit. It's okay. But what I want you to really, really understand is, forget coronavirus for a moment, okay? What I want you guys to understand is, I want you to understand economics, and I want you to understand business cycles, and I want you to understand that the recession that we're in right now, the economic slowdown that we're in right now, is a predictable cycle. It's going to happen again. Even when we start to come out of this, and Europe might recover a little bit faster than the US, it might, right? It might recover a little bit more slowly. Who knows? Probably a little more slowly in the UK, right? But either way, even once it recovers, guess what's going to happen in 4 or 5 years, 6 or 7 years, 8 or 9 years? Guess what's going to happen? It's going to happen again. And so I want you to ask yourself the question, if you've been struggling financially during this downturn, if you know that another downturn is going to come, then are you willing to find another gear that's in the white space? Find some extra breaths. Find a way to fight through the exhaustion. Because if you think you're tired now, if this happens again, when this happens again, if you're still in the same position that you're in today financially, so do it for the money, because the money's going to give you choices and the money's going to give you options. Find another gear. Find a way to change gears. Find another level. I guarantee you, all of you, every single one of you, I guarantee you still have no idea what you're capable of. I guarantee it. And that includes all of you that are working your asses off. That's not to take anything away from you, but here's what I've learned in my own career. There's always a way to stretch just a little bit more. Just like in the gym, there's always a way to find that extra rep. We're shaking, our arms are exhausted, our body's saying, no, I can't, there's no way. And what does your mind say? Your mind says, yes, you can. And all of a sudden, it starts to curl. And then you drop the weight. So if you're feeling shaky right now, if you feel like 2020 has exhausted you, like, I don't know if I have anything left, your body might be exhausted. But if you want to win the head game, if you want to lift the weight, if you want to get stronger, find another gear. Talk yourself into it instead of talking yourself out of it. Have a good evening, everybody. I'm sorry to keep you so late tonight. Lots of love to all of you. Thank you for everything that you do, and we will talk to you all soon.